Same. That'll be an interesting battle as well, because again, it's probably gonna be exclusive. And here's Dana talking about that.
Listen, I live in my own little bubble. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm not worried about what any of those guys are doing. And to be honest with you, I think those guys are all they don't think big enough. They don't think big enough. These guys have been in the business for however long, and I like Eddie Hearn. And I see what Eddie Hearn went like Oscar De La Hoya overnight. But he's got a lot of attention, so I get it.
Hold on a second.
Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. So, as I said in previous videos, this is going to happen, and we're here now. Dana White has just secured a deal with Paramount for 10 scheduled events in 2026 to bring forth TKO boxing alongside with Turki Al-Alshikh. And Dana White has taken aim at all the other boxing promoters. And he's going to be rolling out his product in January 2026. And a lot of the other promoters are watching to see what Dana White brings to the table. Now, this is the problem. This is what I'm saying. I thought Dana White was here to fix boxing. Dana White said there will be a Zuffa belt being presented to their champion in any given weight class. And that champion will then move on to a Ring Magazine Riyadh events to fight for the Ring Magazine belt, and they will not recognise the other sanctioning bodies. Now, Turki Al-Alshikh was the man who opened the door for Dana White and let him in. So, listen, I've got to say it like this because that's what it is. Turki Al-Alshikh opened the door for Dana White and let him in. And I want to give you a little bit of a background on Dana White. Before Dana White became the president of the UFC, Dana White was desperately trying to get into boxing and failed, right? So he then turned his attentions to, he didn't start the UFC, it's what some people think. He didn't start the UFC, he bought the UFC. Well, him and the Fertitta brothers bought the UFC and took it to the next level, the level that we're at now. So they've got to get a lot of respect for that. And now Dana White has turned his attention to boxing, but he wanted to essentially get into boxing many years ago. Dana White's been talking about getting into boxing for the best part of maybe 10 to 15 years. And it was Turki Al-Alshikh who has allowed him now to get into boxing. Now, I feel that Turki has kind of pulled the wool over our eyes, because he came into boxing a couple of years ago. He gave us Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. He gave us Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou, and then he gave us a whole host of other fights, Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol. That was a fight that probably would never have happened if it weren't for Turki, so I've got to give him respect for that. So Turki has gained the trust of the fans over a 2-year period, and he said he wants to make boxing better, bring it bigger again, and he wants all the sanctioning bodies and the promoters to work together to try and make a unified boxing. Maybe we can get these undisputed champions rolled out. Well, I don't know. Maybe Turki needs to come out and have a word, because some of the fans are not happy with this. Because after doing all this for 2 years, he then opens the door, lets Dana White in, who Dana White wants to create his own promotion, his own belt, and start to compete against the other promoters. Now, for me, this is going backwards. This is the thing that we didn't want in boxing. And this is the reason why we was happy when Turki Al-Alshikh came along and says, we're going to pull everyone together to work together. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are now friends. They can sit at a table together, talk together. Their fighters are fighting each other. No animosity between the two guys. We used to have banter, in the UK anyway, we used to have a lot of banter about these guys, Eddie Hearn, Fast Car Eddie, and, Fish Eyes or Bricktop Frank Warren. Whenever these two guys were going at it, it was like, the fans used to love it, watch the Twitter, the YouTube videos and stuff like that. When these two guys became friends, a lot of people says, well, we're going to miss the back and forth between these two guys, but essentially it's better for boxing if these two guys link up, and then we had the 5-on-5, the friendly rivalry between Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Frank Warren won that. Eddie Hearn wants to get his back, so he wants to get his lick back. So it's still competitive between these two guys, but there's less of the malice and the malicious stuff and the hateful stuff, because now these two guys are I don't want to say friends, but they're business friends, partners, whatever you want to call it. Dana White's coming to bring the toxicity back between the promoters. And when that toxicity comes back between the promoters, what's going to happen? Your fighter is not going to fight my fighter. Why? Because you pissed me off and said something about me a few days ago, or you did something to try and F up my promotion. That's what Dana's going to do. And some of you guys, I don't know if you can see or you understand what I'm trying to say here. I'll break it down once more for some of you slow guys who are not getting it. Dana White, right, no, I'll start getting some. Turki Al-Alshikh brought all the promoters together. Oscar De La Hoya, Bob Arum, Al Heyman, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. He brought them all together to bring their fighters over to Saudi Arabia to fight and to unify titles and whatnot, whatever. He then lets Dana White in the door. Dana White creates his own promotion, his own belt, and says, we're not going to recognize anyone else. You've got to come work with us. And that's it. And now he's starting to take shots at other promoters. When we've had this for decades, and now the promoters are singing off a one hymn sheet, but Dana White has come into the boxing and now he's caused the animosity again. And now you're going to get promoters competing against each other when they should be working with each other. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? Not only that, the Ring Magazine's been putting out a lot of good content over the past 2 years. I've been enjoying the channel for the past 2 years. A lot of their posts, videos, live streams and that. Good work from the Ring Magazine. I was happy that Turkey took it over. But now Dana White's coming in. There's a lot of these guys that are shilling for Dana White. You know, they've got a lot of these guys that are on the Ring Magazine and they're pumping smoke up at Dana White's arse. And you should go into the comment section and see what some of these people are saying about Dana White and stuff like that. So it's, you know, go and have a look and see what you think. But ultimately, for me, this ain't good for boxing. These guys need to work together. Dana White's causing segregation. He ain't causing unity. There was unity of the last 2 years. Now Dana White's come in with his abrasive attitude. And, you know, you're going to see what happens in the next 6 months. And listen, don't say I didn't warn you. Anyway, enough said. Do us a favour, smash the like button, hit the bell for notifications to get all the new and the latest videos.